Welcome to a journey like no other. A drone flight over every country in Europe. But we won't just show you the landscapes. We'll uncover the most surprising, unusual, and unforgettable facts about each nation. From a town where polar bears roam the streets, to a hotel made entirely of ice, to a country that fits inside a single city block, every nation here hides something extraordinary. Get ready to see Europe in a way you've never imagined. Iceland is where you can literally walk between two continents. The North American and Eurasian tectonic plates meet above ground. Nearly 100% of the country's electricity comes from renewable sources, powered by waterfalls and volcanoes. With only about 400,000 people, it feels like one big small town with elves, since many Icelanders still believe in them. Its otherworldly landscapes have also made it a favorite filming location for Game of Thrones and Hollywood movies. Norway has the longest coastline in Europe, stretching over 100,000 kilometers if you count its fjords and islands. It's home to the world's northernmost town, Longyearbyen, where residents carry rifles to protect against polar bears. Oil wealth has made Norway one of the richest countries per capita, yet it balances this with strong environmental policies. And each winter, Norway gifts a Christmas tree to London, as thanks for Britain's help during World War II. Sweden is home to the world's first ice hotel, rebuilt every winter in Jukkasjärvi. It's also one of the most innovative countries, giving us Spotify, IKEA, the Puzzmaker, and Volvo. Swedes enjoy fika, a coffee and pastry break so beloved it's practically a national ritual. And despite long, dark winters, Sweden has produced some of the world's brightest pop stars, like ABBA and Avicii. Finland has more saunas than cars, with nearly one for every 2 people. The northern lights are visible here more than 200 nights a year, turning the skies into a natural light show. It's also officially home to Santa Claus, who lives in Rovaniemi. Known for world-class education and innovation, Finland has been ranked the happiest country in the world multiple years in a row. The United Kingdom is made up of 4 nations: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It gave the world Shakespeare, the Beatles, and Harry Potter, making it a cultural powerhouse. London is home to the world's oldest underground railway, and pubs here are older than the United States. Yet, the UK is also shaped by modern challenges, including Brexit and debates about Scottish independence. Ireland has no snakes thanks to the legend of St. Patrick, who supposedly banished them. It's the birthplace of Guinness beer and some of the world's greatest writers, like James Joyce and Oscar Wilde. More Irish people actually live abroad than in Ireland itself, spreading Irish pubs and culture worldwide. Today, Ireland is also a hub for tech companies, with Dublin often called the Silicon Valley of Europe. Portugal is Europe's oldest nation-state, with borders unchanged since 1139. It's home to the world's oldest bookstore, Bertrand, which has been open since 1732. Portugal's explorers once mapped half the globe, from Brazil to India. And today, Lisbon is famous for its colorful trams, pastel buildings, and soulful fado music. Spain produces more than half of the world's olive oil, most of it from Andalusia. Spanish culture gave us flamenco, tapas, and La Tomatina, the world's biggest tomato fight. And Barcelona's Sagrada Familia has been under construction since 1882 and is still unfinished. Andorra sits high in the Pyrenees between France and Spain. It has no airport or train station, you can only arrive by car or bus. The country is famous as both a ski destination and a shopping haven, thanks to its duty-free status. Despite being tiny, Andorra attracts millions of tourists each year, far more than its population of around 80,000. France is the most visited country in the world, drawing more than 80 million tourists a year. It gave us cinema, haute couture, and foods like the baguette and croissant, now enjoyed everywhere. Paris alone has more museums than most countries combined, and the Eiffel Tower was once considered an eyesore. France has also been at the heart of world politics, from the French Revolution to its role as a founding member of the EU. Monaco is the second smallest country in the world, but one of the wealthiest, with about 1 in 3 residents being a millionaire. Its Monte Carlo casino inspired James Bond movies, and Formula One's Monaco Grand Prix is one of the most famous races in the world. Despite all the glitz, Monaco doesn't have its own airport. You have to land in France and drive across the border. The ruling Grimaldi family has reigned here for over 700 years. Luxembourg is one of the richest countries in the world per person, with banking and finance driving much of its economy. It's tiny but multilingual, with Luxembourgish, French, and German all official languages. The capital city has dramatic cliffs and fortresses, earning it the nickname the Gibraltar of the North. And despite its size, Luxembourg was a founding member of both NATO and the European Union. Belgium produces over 1,000 varieties of beer, each served in its own unique glass. It's also famous for waffles, chocolate, and fries, though locals insist they should be called Belgian fries, not French. Brussels is the capital of the European Union, making Belgium a hub of diplomacy. And fun fact, the saxophone was invented here by Adolphe Sax in the 1840s. The Netherlands has more bicycles than people, and dedicated bike highways crisscross the country. About 26% of the land is below sea level, protected by an advanced system of dikes and canals. Tulips are iconic here, though they originally came from Turkey, and the country experienced a tulip bubble in the 1600s, one of history's first economic crashes. Amsterdam, with its canals and historic houses, is sometimes called the Venice of the North. Denmark is the birthplace of Lego, one of the world's most famous toys. Copenhagen's harbor is so clean that locals actually swim in it. The Danish concept of hage, cozy comfort with friends and family, has become a global lifestyle trend. And while Denmark is often ranked among the happiest countries in the world, it also has one of Europe's highest tax rates, which funds its strong welfare system. Germany has more than 20,000 castles, from fairy tale palaces like Neuschwanstein to medieval ruin. It gave the world the printing press, the automobile, and the MP3. Oktoberfest in Munich is the largest beer festival on earth, drawing millions every year. Germany's history includes both the devastation it caused during the Second World War and the resilience shown in its recovery and reunification after the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. Switzerland has over 7,000 lakes and the world's longest railway tunnel, the Gotthard-Base Tunnel. It gave us milk chocolate, wristwatches, and even Velcro. Swiss trains are so punctual, they're considered the global gold standard. Politically, Switzerland is famous for its neutrality, avoiding major wars for centuries, while hosting global peace talks. Liechtenstein is one of the world's tiniest countries, sandwiched between Switzerland and Austria. It has no airport, so visitors usually arrive by train or car. Despite its size, it's one of the richest countries per person, with a strong banking sector. It's also the only country in the world that is entirely located in the Alps, making it a hidden gem for mountain lovers. Austria gave the world Mozart, Freud, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Vienna is often ranked the most livable city in the world, thanks to its culture, history, and quality of life. Austria is also where the sewing machine was invented, and its Alps make it a winter sports paradise, yet its history is deeply tied to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, once one of Europe's great powers. Italy has more UNESCO World Heritage Sites than any other country. It gave us pizza, pasta, espresso, and opera, cultural treasures beloved worldwide. Rome is often called the Eternal City, and Florence is considered the birthplace of the Renaissance. Italy's history spans from the Roman Empire to the Vatican to modern fashion and design, making it one of Europe's most influential countries. San Marino calls itself the world's oldest republic, founded in 301 AD. It's one of only 3 countries completely surrounded by another. Despite its small size, San Marino has more cars than people, and even fields its own Olympic team. Its medieval towers perched on mountain cliffs look like something straight out of a fantasy movie. Vatican City is the smallest country in the world, at just 0.119 square miles. It has its own postal system, its own army, a Swiss Guard, and even an ATM that operates in Latin. The Pope is both its head of state and spiritual leader for more than 1 billion Catholics. Despite its tiny size, it holds some of the most famous artworks in history, including the Sistine Chapel ceiling painted by Michelangelo. Malta's megalithic temples are older than the pyramids of Egypt, dating back more than 5,000 years. Its waters are among the clearest in Europe, making it a diver's paradise. Malta's history is filled with sieges, knights, and pirates, thanks to its key position in the Mediterranean. Today, it's also a favorite filming location for movies and shows, including Game of Thrones. Estonia is one of the most digital countries on Earth. You can vote, pay taxes, and even start a company entirely online. It also gave the world Skype, changing how billions communicate. Despite its high-tech life, over half of Estonia is covered in forests. And with a history shaped by German, Swedish, and Soviet rule, modern Estonia has built a strong identity as one of Europe's fastest-growing economies. Latvia is covered by forests, making up more than half its territory. And its capital Riga has the world's largest collection of Art Nouveau buildings. Latvians celebrate midsummer with bonfires, singing and folk traditions that go back centuries. The country regained independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, and since then has transformed into a modern European democracy. Fun fact, Latvia has one of the fastest internet speeds in the world. Lithuania was the first Soviet republic to declare independence in 1990, sparking a wave that changed Europe. Its capital, Vilnius, boasts one of the continent's largest medieval old towns. Basketball here is more than just a sport, it's a national obsession, and Lithuania regularly ranks among the world's best teams. The country also has the geographic center of Europe, marked by a monument near Vilnius. And that was Europe, seen from above, and filled with stories you probably didn't expect. Which country surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because our journey doesn't stop here. The rest of the world is waiting.